Hello again. This time I'm here with my April wrap-up, but I read 22 books in April, and I felt like I needed to split this. This is going to be part 1 of my April wrap-up, where I have 11 YA books. These are the YA books that I read in April. Let me just get into the books. One thing I'm going to talk about first, before I jump right into my YA, I am going to mention one horror book. And for my horror wrap up, I'm going to mention this one YA book. They're both very similar, but I'm going to mention both My Best Friend's Exorcism and The Merciless. Both of these are about teenagers that are possessed by demons. One of them is YA, which is The Merciless, and one of them is a straight up horror genre book, which is My Best Friend's Exorcism. And I think that both of these books kind of could be interchangeable, which is why I want to mention them on both wrap-ups, because since My Best Friend's Exorcism basically covers teenagers, even though they're teenagers from the 80s, this is still about teenagers. So if you are interested in YA, you should probably check this out, especially if you're interested in YA horror. I would say check out My Best Friend's Exorcism. You might like it. And if you're only interested in horror, I definitely would check out The Merciless. I know Adam Caesar mentioned it, I believe, on his booktube channel. Merciless is basically the tagline is this is Mean Girls meets The Exorcist or something like that. And that's kind of pretty accurate, but it's also part 1 of a series. So the end kind of had a bit of a cliffhanger. I can't wait to read the second one in this because I really did enjoy it. The Merciless is a great book. A nice horror book, actually. Some pretty scary scenes for a YA book. And like I said, I really enjoyed this. This is like a 5-star book for me. I really enjoyed Merciless. Even though the pink cover could throw people off. Again, Merciless, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the characters in this. I'm not going to really get too deep into the story, just to let you know that I really enjoyed The Merciless. It's a great horror read. It's a great YA read. And I look forward to reading more by Danielle Vega. I look forward to continuing this series and see how well it holds up. That is The Merciless. And if you want to learn more about My Best Friend's Exorcism, watch my horror wrap-up. The next 2 books that I read in the month of April are the Dorothy Must Die stories, Volume 1 and Volume 2. These are prequels. They were basically originally just ebooks that Daniel Page put out. I guess they were supposed to kind of explain how Dorothy became evil. If you don't know about the Dorothy Must Die series, basically this one character comes to Oz and finds out that Dorothy is kind of a tyrant running Oz. She has to pretty much undo what's going on in Oz and try to bring it back to magic, actually, because the magic is draining in Oz. But it's a really good series. I've really enjoyed it. These books, I guess, trying to explain how Dorothy became evil, I felt like it wasn't really explained well in my mind. The stories are okay, and they're really good to kind of catch everybody up to where the first book starts, and I still enjoy this series. I would probably give this maybe 3.5 stars, both of these books. But I felt like it was a little shallow, the way Dorothy turned so quickly into becoming kind of evil Dorothy. I understood it. I mean, she did explain it here as basically being in a fantastical world and then suddenly going back to a mundane world. You kind of just don't want to go live in a mundane world. But the way she treated her parents and the way she treated some people in this book, it didn't feel like Dorothy. And I was a little, like I said, I was a little taken aback by it. It wasn't as good to me as the original series. But if you're a completist and you definitely want to read more about the Dorothy Must Die series, you should definitely read these books. That's my basic review on both of these Dorothy Must Die books. I give them like a 3.5. The next 2 books I read, again, part of a duology, are the Black Widow books. Black Widow Forever Red, Black Widow Red Vengeance. When I first started into Forever Red, and I actually listened to this on audiobook, when I first was listening to Forever Red, it was kind of dull in the beginning a little bit. It didn't start off that good, and I kind of thought, oh, this is not going to be that great of a book. I'm not a big fan of Marvel characters in general. I'm actually more of a DC fanboy, I guess. I still wanted to read this, and as I was reading it, it did feel a little dull in the beginning. But as it kept going, I started to get more and more interested in it. And by the end of the book, I really enjoyed it. And I also enjoyed the second book as well. Alrighty, let me give you a little synopsis of Forever Red. Natasha Romanoff is one of the world's most lethal assassins. Trained from a young age in the arts of death and deception, Natasha was given the title of Black Widow by Ivan Somodorov, her brutal teacher at the Red Room, Moscow's infamous academy for operatives. Ava Orlova is just trying to fit in as an average Brooklyn teenager, but her life has been anything but average. The daughter of a missing Russian quantum physicist, Ava was once subjected to a series of ruthless military experiments until she was rescued by Black Widow and placed under SHIELD protection. Ava has always longed to reconnect with her mysterious savior, but Black Widow isn't really the big sister type. Until now. When children all over Eastern Europe begin to go missing and rumors of smuggled Red Room tech light up the dark net, Natasha suspects her old teacher has returned, and that Ava Orlova might be the only one who can stop him. To defeat the madman who threatens their future, Natasha and Ava must unravel their past. Only then will they discover the truth about the dark-eyed boy with an hourglass tattoo who haunts Ava's dreams. Again, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it was a little slow read to begin with, but if you stick with it, it really gets good. I'm going to give this a 4-star. I really enjoyed this book. I'll give the sequel, Red Vengeance, a 4-star as well. I really enjoyed that one as well. This was a really nice duology, a really nice series. There are some guest appearances by Iron Man and Black Widow. The banter that they have is great in these books. I really liked it, and I really enjoyed the banter, and I would highly recommend it. That is the Black Widow series, Forever Red and Red Vengeance. Next book I read was When Dimple Met Rishi. This is a nice YA contemporary about Dimple, who doesn't want to have an arranged marriage, wants to just live her life, but her parents are really interested in getting an arranged marriage for her finding a husband. What happens is she goes to this web developers camp thinking that, they forgot about the whole concept of her getting a husband, but really they want her to meet Rishi, which is a person they want her to be set up with. And Rishi is all for arranged marriages and the whole Indian culture behind it. And this is a really cute book. I actually really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this a 4 stars. It's just really nice to read about the Indian culture and read about the characters in this. They're very warm characters. It's a very light contemporary that I enjoyed. And, Dimple changes Rishi. Rishi changes Dimple. So you see some character growth in it. And it's really nice. One weird thing I'm going to mention in this, and I have to show the cover here. Okay, this character on this cover is supposed to be, I'm guessing, Dimple, right? This is supposed to be Dimple, okay? On the back cover, if you can see it, this is Dimple throwing coffee at Rishi, which is in the actual book. This Dimple does not look like this Dimple to me. They look like two different people. Am I crazy? They look like two different people. I know it's nitpicking, but I had to mention it because it's kind of weird, don't you think? Am I the only one kind of crazy thinking that this woman on this cover does not look like this woman on this cover? That's my little pet peeve about this book. But otherwise, I really did enjoy this book, When Dimple Met Rishi. Next book I'm going to talk about is Legend by Marie Lu. I finally decided to pick up this Legend series because I really did like Warcross, and I am glad I picked this up. I really did enjoy this book. Let me read the synopsis here. From different worlds, June and Day have no reason to cross paths until June's brother is murdered and Day becomes the prime suspect. In a shocking turn of events, the two uncover what has really brought them together and the sinister lengths to which their country will go to keep its secrets. Really nice book. I really enjoyed this. I can't wait to read the second book in this series. I haven't picked up the third yet, but I'm probably going to pick it up. It's got a lot of action. The characters are really good. I mean, it's really a nice story. I can't say highly enough about it. This is definitely a 4-star read for me. Maybe even a 4.5. I really did enjoy this. That is Legend by Marie Lu. And one of the best books I've read this month, one of the two best books I've read this month is Long Way Down, which I don't know if you can see it with the glare here, but it is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. And this book was a National Book Award finalist. It's written in prose, and it's basically this character's brother gets shot, and the character believes he knows who shot his brother. He's planning to take his revenge for the murder of his brother. This whole book takes place within 60 seconds going down an elevator where he kind of contemplates what he's about to do, why he's about to do it, and the life between him and his brother and what's happened. And again, since it's all told in prose, it's actually a very easy read. I think I actually read this in one sitting, but it's a very powerful book, a very thought-provoking book, and I was blown away by it. In fact, after I read it, I gave it to my wife. I said, read this. I know she's not a big reader, but I said, just read a couple of the first couple of prose, because this is a very easy read, and it's a really a powerful read. And I am really impressed by this book. I definitely have to pick up more by Jason Reynolds, because this is a 5-star read. This is a great read, especially it's a quick, easy read, but really powerful book to read. That is Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. Next book I read was The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. Shiny, shiny cover. You find out that this character's mother and her have been kind of moving from place to place because they're kind of on the run. Their grandmother writes a very rare set of fairy tales that are kind of hard to come by. And you find out that this fairy tale world is real. I like this book. I would give it 3.5 because it took a long time kind of to get everything going. The fantasy elements in this book are near the end of the book, kind of. It takes a while to get to it. The fantasy elements are good. I really like the story as far as I like the world that she sets up, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next book in this series. But it took a while to get to. So because it took a while to get to, and it was a little bit longer for me to get into it, it's not a long book, but it took a while for me to get into it. I dropped it down to a 3.5. But I do think it's a good book to read. I'm definitely really excited after the ending. I'm really excited to see where this goes. That is The Hazel Wood by Melissa Albert. Next book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I really enjoyed this book. Honestly, I didn't expect I was going to enjoy this as much as I did. This is definitely a solid 4-star read. I never read anything by Holly Black before, but I really enjoyed the world and the setting and kind of like the characters and I would say the backstabbing, but it's just got a lot of stuff going on in this world. Let me just read the synopsis here. Jude was 7 when her parents were murdered, and she and her 2 sisters were stolen away to live in the treacherous High Court of Fairy. 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong there despite her mortality. But many of the Fae despise humans, especially Prince Cardin, the youngest and wickedest son of the High King. To win a place at the court, she must defy him and face the consequences. As Jude becomes more deeply embroiled in palace intrigues and deception, she discovers her own capacity for trickery and bloodshed. But as betrayal threatens to drown the court of Fairy in violence, Jude will need to risk her life in a dangerous alliance to save her sister and Fairy itself. Again, this was a really good book. There's a lot of kind of twists and turns in the book. I don't want to give away too much of it, but it is a really interesting, well thought out book. I love the plot. I love the characters, and I can't wait to see where this goes. That is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Next book I want to talk about is Children of Blood and Bone. This definitely lives up to the hype. This is a 5-star read for me. If you don't know what the story is about, this is about Zelly, who is part of a race that has magic. They were magi, and this king basically started a war with them and destroyed their magic and killed a lot of the magi, including Zelly's mother, brutally. They are treated horribly in their country. They are taxed and treated like second-class, third-class citizens, and you find out that there is a way for magic to come back, and Zelly and a rogue princess from this king's court, his daughter, start the process of actually trying to restore magic back to the world, and they're pursued by her brother. This has some really good characterizations, really good story. Actually, it's kind of bloody in a way. I mean, there is a ship battle scene that is brutal in this book. I'm kind of really surprised that's actually in this book. It is brutal in this book. There are real consequences here. There are real challenges here. And I am really impressed with this book. I cannot wait for the next book to come out. This definitely lives up to the hype. That is Children of Blood and Bone. And that is it for my YA wrap-up. I will be doing my horror books next week. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.